Good evening, dandies. Welcome to Undetermined, the podcast.
Hello.
Yeah, I don't hear any echo now. That'll do it.
That's all right?
Yeah, I think we're good to go. All right, good evening, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to Undetermined the podcast. I think we're probably wrapping up the year with this one, and it's a privilege to have you, man. We have David Pastorius joining us on the podcast today.
Yeah.
Bass player extraordinaire. I don't even know exactly how I came across you. I think I came across one of your viral videos. It was probably the one that got you booked with Tech Nine.
Yeah.
So we have to say it like that in Missouri. It's the law.
Well, yeah. I'm in KC.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, that would be the questions video.
Yeah, the questions video where you're playing along like note for note and
kind of like more trying to follow his syllables.
Yeah.
That was kind of the idea behind it.
Yeah, that seems kind of tricky.
Yeah.
He's a little fast.
Well, that's the thing is, like I've said, like literally Tech Nine, it's as strange as it sounds, he kind of was like, because I've been listening for a long time, but even going back, he was like an influence on my bass playing, as weird as that sounds. Like his, like, I feel like rhythmically, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the way it's kind of the way like I play bass sometimes, I feel like. So I thought like it would be perfect to, like, instead of playing the bass line, just like match his vocals.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and he seemed to dig it. So
Yeah, I think that was the cool thing about it, just the fact that it wasn't like something you guys pre-wrote or anything. I mean, this is something that you just kind of played along with and sought him out, right?
Yeah, that's one of his old tunes.
Yeah.
And next thing I know, I remember seeing seeing someone let me know that he shared it on his Facebook page.
Nice.
And I was like tripping out. Then I talked to him a few times, and then what was it, like probably about like a half a year later, one night I got a call from Travers O'Gwyn saying that, they're doing a tour and they want to put a band together. Do you want to play bass? And I was like, yeah.
Nice.
Definitely. So that's how that happened.
Well, that's a compliment for sure.
No, definitely.
Yeah. And just to bring up the obvious, and I'm doing it for everybody. We talked a little bit about this on the phone the other night, but David is, of course, the nephew of Jaco Pastorius. A lot of people know, but I mean, as you were telling me, it wasn't as big of an influence on your life.
Yeah.
As it was just, other things that you heard. And then we're around the same age. So a lot of those bass influences from the 90s really got you hooked into playing.
Yeah. Well, no, it's what's funny is, like, when I was younger, I knew I had an uncle that was a musician that played bass, but I didn't even know what a bass looked like. That's how much attention I paid. Like, I was like, is it the one with 4 strings or 6 strings?
Yeah.
And I remember my buddy Sam Griffith was his name, and he's passed away since, but he was my buddy in junior high. I went to his house after school one day, and he pulls out this like Sears first act bass, and he started playing the Chili Peppers version of Higher Ground.
Nice.
And I remember like thought it just looked cool and sounded so cool. I was like, man, what instrument is that? He's like, it's a bass, you dummy. That's the drunk play. And I was like, no way. And I was like, dude, that's awesome. I was like, I want to do that. So I mean, literally, Sam Griffith is kind of what got me hooked on playing bass immediately,
Yeah.
So then it was like guys, of course, like Flea, Les Claypool, and Steve Harris, another one. I listened to a lot of his stuff, and there's Robert Trujillo, of course, one of my favorite.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, guys like that, guys more in that realm, which for me, I'm kind of glad that I came into it that way,
Yeah.
But of course, Jaco's the man. Jaco's amazing, but I'm definitely influenced by Jaco too, but not straight off the bat. It was more like rock, metal, punk. This was what I was listening to.
Right.
Well, that's almost like a more interesting way to come about it. Like, oh, okay, yeah, that's my uncle. I don't know anything about him. And then you learn about this instrument and all of a sudden kind of go back and revisit that. Like, holy shit, that's my uncle.
Absolutely. You realize how incredible he was. And I mean, his influence is so powerful that there's guys that sound just like him now that don't even know who he is because they're copying someone else that sounded just like him.
Right.
And that's serious.
Yeah.
And he's come up in multiple conversations that we've had.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talk to a lot of bass players. We like talking to bass players.
We do.
A lot of ways, it's what I say is they're always in the pocket. And they always have to pay attention to what's going on. So that's why they make good conversationalists for musicians.
That's funny, yeah.
Yeah. Other members of the family, though. I mean, because I know like his son Felix plays, and like Mary has some things going on, and like cousins, things like that. Like music wasn't a big part of family get-togethers. Or...
Well, I mean, it's funny. What's funny is I played a lot with Mary. You know, we got music together. Actually, she has a group. Well, we had a group. It's called Queen Mary, and actually, I think there are the albums on YouTube. You can check it out. I can send you guys some tracks to check out.
Oh yeah, sure.
But it's like me and her wrote these songs together, and she's the vocalist. But there's some really cool stuff. It's different, but yeah. Also, Felix plays bass. He's incredible.
Yeah,
he's more like a jazz guy. And so we're kind of apples and oranges stylistically. So I would love to jam with him one day. Would be cool.
Yeah. Well, that was Trevor Dunn was telling us he had just checked him out in the club.
Yeah, he's great. And then Julius plays drums. So I think that's about it. Most of my kids are showing some musical interest though, which is pretty cool too. Though I have 5 kids.
Yeah.
And a stepdaughter, but I have like my youngest son Nicoa. He's really musical already. It's crazy.
Oh, really?
And then Alex, my son, has some musical instrument. My daughter Avery. My daughter Avery.
And Jordan.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah. Jordan. No, it's funny. Jordan is Avery's brother.
Okay.
Different father though. From the past. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You got to think there's got to be something in the DNA. I mean, but I'm sure you kind of battle that or go back and forth with it in your mind a lot. What's nature? What's nurture?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess so. Yeah, I guess it would make sense. What I also think, like, maybe it's because also I grew up around a lot of music. That probably helps too, as opposed to just straight DNA. You know, like my mom and dad, they'd always put on the record player and play music, and I always thought they played cool music too, which was cool. You know, like the Police, Talking Heads,
right on,
stuff like that. So they were really always listening to music, and as a young kid, it kind of sticks with you too, I guess.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, even your uncle's music, as we talked about before, it's probably hard in the family. Just as I was saying on the phone, it's like, seldom is our parents' music our music.
Yeah.
Even if it's a relative or somebody, I wouldn't necessarily recognize that. But man, like you talked about too, just the influences of the music of the 90s. Some of those great songs were just so bass driven.
Mm-hmm.
It had those bass hooks and everything, and bass was a background instrument prior to that.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
We didn't really see those changes till much later. Big Faith No More fan?
Dude, yeah, definitely. Well, but just generally a Mike Patton fan too. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Everything that dude's doing. Of course, Mr. Bungle. When anybody asks about like, what's your favorite album? I'm like, I can't really say a favorite album because there's so much stuff. But the most important album for me was Mr. Bungle's first album.
Yeah.
That thing like blew my mind, and like, I probably had like 5 tapes of it that melted, playing it over and over and over. Then CDs of it, and just like, yeah, it was like definitely influenced me a lot.
No, it's one of those that I still remember the first time I listened to it. I was sitting in my Toyota, in like 1989, 1990, something like that. And just like, okay, I want to check this out. And I didn't know what to do with it.
It's crazy. I had this guitar player kid that I used to jam with growing up. His name was John Legero. He's really super talented songwriter, and I'd go over to his house and we'd write songs together. And how I heard about Mr. Bungle was him just singing one day. He started doing that tick-a-tick-a-doo, tick-a-tick-a-doo. And I was like, what are you singing? And he was like, you've never heard Mr. Bungle? And I was like, no, what is that? And he showed it to me, and I just tripped out.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, wow.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. Just the whole vibe of that album too.
Oh yeah, it's great. I love the themes in it and everything else. But I remember the first time getting a copy of that album. I was actually with Matt's brother at a record store, and I was like, "Oh my god!" I was like, they've got a copy of this. I couldn't believe it in our little hick town.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
I told him, I was like, I wish I had the money for this, and he was like, I'll buy it. He took it out of my hands because the son of a bitch had money in his pocket. I was like, God damn it.
That's funny.
I don't know. He eventually recorded it off for me, but I got my own copy. Well, I've had many copies, but yeah, I kind of fell down with him. With of course, starting out with Faith No More, I was younger, and then finding Bungle later, a little later.
I think that's how most of us were.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, unless you were just straight from that area,
Well, yeah, it's because that tripped me out too when I found out. I was like, oh, the singer for this is the singer in the Epic video. And I'm like, I love the song Epic too, but I mean, to think that at that time I was like, really?
Yeah.
I was like, it's so different, you know what I mean?
Right.
But I was like, that just shows you how versatile that dude is.
Oh, yeah.
Totally.
It's insane.
Yeah.
And I actually, honestly, I loved Faith No More's album before him too. Like Introduce Yourself. I love Chuck Mosley
Chuck Mosley,
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
We had a pretty awesome conversation with Billy Gould about Chuck.
Oh, wow. Another one of my favorites.
Yeah, that's a one. Go back and listen to that one. It's worth checking out.
Oh, I will. I definitely will.
Yeah, he's a super nice guy too.
That's
He's
awesome.
got some funny
It's
stories.
always cool when they're nice guys. Those guys, you know what I mean? And it's funny because he's just a great player, great tone.
Yeah.
I've always dug his tone, and it's funny because I tell people some of my favorite bass players, believe it or not, are not what you call technicians. They're just pocket bass players.
Mm-hmm.
And Billy's great.
And he talks about kind of how he got to that too. I won't spoil it.
Oh wow, yeah, I definitely got to check that out.
Yeah, absolutely. But you're self-taught.
Yeah,
right?
pretty much.
Right. Didn't really just picked it up and kind of. What were some of those ways that you taught yourself back then? I mean, we didn't have the internet,
No, well, it's kind of funny. I mean, I guess you could say self-taught, but I don't believe anybody's really self-taught because we all have so many influences.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like I've learned from everybody. From guys like watching videos of Flea or Les Claypool or Robert Trujillo. I learned from all those dudes. But when I first started playing, the neighbor across the street happened to be a bass player, so he brought over this VHS tape, and it was 2 bass instructional videos back to back. The first was Louis Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then after that, it was Stu Hams.
Okay.
So I remember just going through that and watching it over, pause, rewind, watching where their fingers are, and learning that way, and like slowing, you know what I mean, and like learning some of this stuff. So yeah, Louis Johnson was a big influence also, and Stu Ham.
Wow. Man, bless you for that. That had to be hard with a VHS player.
Oh yeah. No, but that's the kind of thing. It was so much fun. That's why I like when people talk about like natural talent. I think it's more like people have more of a natural love for something. Because if anybody puts the time in, I think they get pretty good.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you know what I mean? The fact that I loved doing it, it didn't feel like work or a hard thing. It was just that's all I wanted to do. You know what I mean? So of course I put the time in.
Yeah, I've kind of raised my kids in the same regard. It's like anything with art. I mean, we probably come from the same generation where people just like, you can do that in your spare time, or, don't try to make it. Nobody can get a job doing that. But
right.
I've had so many people tell me, anything that you want to do, if you work hard enough at it and if you love it enough, you can find your way getting a job in it. And, people have just as much lack of success in straight jobs.
Right.
Yeah.
When they, if they just don't commit themselves to it, or just have a hard time making connections, or luck is one thing.
Yeah, absolutely. With music, though, it's another part of it. What I tell people is also about the, like, what do they say? It's like the 23 hours off stage as opposed to the 1 hour on, too.
Yeah, it is.
Because, man, there's always cats that can play the part, and it don't matter how technically gifted you are, how awesome you are. I had to learn that. You know what I mean? It's like if you're a weirdo, people probably don't want to go on the road with you, or if you're not, you know what I mean?
Right.
If you can't hang out with people and be cool, people don't want to go on the road with you.
Yeah,
it don't matter how good you can play. That's a big part of it.
Yeah.
It's just being a decent person and being able to get along with people.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I can tell you as being a supervisor and jobs and things like that, we look over resumes. None of that shit matters to me on paper. It's when I meet the dude or, man or woman, and I'm like, can I tolerate putting up with this person? Damn.
Right, absolutely.
That's going to get you a lot farther than a resume anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny because when I was younger, I've always been like, and I'm getting way better about it, but I was shy. But when I was younger, like people would read that as aloof.
Yeah.
And my dad, and I would always tell my dad, my dad, because he's given me a lot of advice. Actually, he's actually pretty smart about all that stuff. But when I was young, I would tell him, he'd be like, look, like, you got to try to like show interest, look like you show interest, smile at people, talk to people more. And I'm like, but I'm not aloof, I'm not stuck up. He's like, it don't matter if that's the perception.
Right.
Especially when it comes to getting work. Like, you gotta, you know what I mean? He called it the hang factor. You gotta have the hang factor. You gotta be able to hang with people,
Right. And I think part of it is also on trying to find people that you want to hang with too. Like, it's a lot easier for me. Like, if it's people that I don't find interesting, I'm done. You're going to see me drifting off real fast.
Yeah. But even me, like, I would, it was a thing. It would be like, people would be like, he sounds good. He doesn't seem to like my music though. And I'd be like, no, I like your music. I just would always be accused of looking bored. Right. Yeah, I've had to, but which wasn't the case. It's just like, I don't know if it was a shy thing or a social anxiety thing or whatever it was, but I've gotten better about that. I've had to too. So.
Yeah, no, I get that too. I'm kind of a laid back personality, so I don't get super excited, or I don't express myself in a super excited way. And I get even tonight, my wife and kid were talking to me at dinner, like, yeah, we just, my kid was just saying, I really hope this year you get a gift that makes you go, wow. Yeah. And I'm just like, oh.
Yeah, no, I get what exactly.
Because usually I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then, but I think I'm being really expressive and saying, I really like this gift. And they're not reading it the same way all the time. So it's something I have to always be aware of.
Definitely. Yeah, man.
Any awful day jobs that you had prior to that, or prior to starting music?
I still occasionally look for, I have to, especially the past few years with all the craziness going on with that. There was I wouldn't say, but I've done different grunt work, I tell people I'm not a skilled laborer by any means, but I'm a good grunt. I've done grunt work for what was I doing? I was doing helping my buddy with doing irrigation stuff a little bit, and I've done some stuff with roofing and stuff like that. But I'm always I don't know the actual the skill techniques. I'm just you want me to move stuff? Cool.
Yeah.
I'd rather do that.
Right.
But other than that, I'm glad that the music's is starting to pick up a little bit. So that's good.
Yeah, I am too.
And lately, honestly, man, I've been getting by on just offering lessons too lately, which is cool too.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. And it's got to feel good too, because you're helping somebody else out, and
No, it does definitely. Which is funny, because when the more I give lessons, it's making me learn more too, which is great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I feel like it makes me go back and look at modes, and I practice more of that stuff.
Right.
Because left to my own devices, if I don't have to, a lot of times, every time I pick up the bass, I don't really practice. I just kind of try to make stuff up,
play with things,
which is cool.
Yeah, I would imagine it kind of forces you to come at different things from different angles too.
Absolutely. It's great for someone to be I got a bass student right now that wants to learn Tennessee whiskey, and I just learned that just so I can show them parts and variations on it and ideas, but it's good for me to know that stuff.
Yeah.
So that's the beauty of giving lessons. I feel like I learn from them too.
What do you think's been your biggest challenge being a teacher versus being a player? Because they're definitely different things, right?
Oh, absolutely. I think there's people that are great players that can't teach.
Sure.
But I feel like I'm very patient. So I feel like there's some teachers that are probably not patient enough. So
sure.
But I feel like the patience is a big thing. But let me think. As far as the biggest challenge, honestly, sometimes, especially because a lot of these lessons are on the internet, online, as opposed to in person, is filling up dead space sometimes.
Yeah.
Because it really is. I'll be you say someone pays for an hour lesson, and that's what they want to do, and you show them a bunch of stuff, and you're there's 15, 20 minutes have gone by, and you're okay, you got any questions? No, I don't.
Yeah.
And you're but I've gotten better at making up space, and or having them go over this or go over that. So that's part of it.
Yeah. you almost want to say, well, that's enough for today. But oh, shit, they paid.
I will tell you this: that is the great thing about teaching online. Because if someone's willing to send you money online, typically they really want to learn. So which makes the lesson more enjoyable. Because when I was doing lessons like in town, like at a music store, a lot of times, unfortunately, you're just babysitting kids for a half hour that don't really want to play.
Right.
Yeah, I can see that.
As opposed to a kid or even an adult that really wants to play and send money for lessons, they definitely really are interested in playing, which makes me get a lot more out of the lesson too.
Yeah. We're looking at whether we want to get lessons for my kid. I know he's really interested in getting bass.
Oh, nice.
So he's getting a bass for Christmas. He's been learning the drums.
Awesome.
And he's getting pretty decent at that. And he decided I want to get the bass too. So he picked up a bass for him. And
nice.
We're kind of debating like, oh gosh, can we afford bass lessons and drum lessons, or do we want to let him kind of play around and see what he comes up with it on his own at first, and if he sticks with it, then look at it's
honestly, if I were you, just my opinion with mine, I would just let him pick up the bass and have fun with it at first, man.
Okay.
See, that's what I tell. I mean, I've told people that wanted lessons before. I'll be like, you just starting? I'll be like, I can give you lessons, but I would suggest just have fun with it. Pick up, make noises out of it. You know what I mean? Learn, because you other than telling them, rotate your fingers and practice hitting all the strings, it's just like immediately that's what I was trying to do, is just try to like get sounds out of it and stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's cool because I feel like it helps you develop a sound of your own a little bit too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at what point did you feel confident enough and like, hey, I'm going to join a band? Or how did it come about to joining your first band? Was it FHM? Was that your Fleshy Headed Moon?
Yeah. That's funny.
That's a great fucking band name, by the way.
No, dude, I wish I had Fleshy Headed Mutants was like, they were awesome, man. I mean, Charlie Toro, the guitar player, he's incredible. And he does like voiceover stuff now. Absolutely ridiculous guitar player, even by today's means. I'll send you some links to his stuff too.
Sure.
Those guys were like, I was 17. Those guys were probably like, I don't know if they were like 25, 27 at the time. So they were a little bit older than me. It was like Cypress Hill meets like Pantera.
Nice.
And yeah, and you got to think at that time too. It was like in the 90s. It was like that. It was awesome. That was my first band. That was the first band I got in. They were already, I guess, their bass player who they had before me. I joined the band towards the very end, but I probably played like a good 20 shows with them.
Oh, really? Right on.
Yeah, but I mean, I remember I first saw Fleshy Headed Mutants like going to a show. They were opening for Infectious Grooves.
Oh, no.
Wow. Sweet.
Wow.
So,
Who's that?
Robert Trujillo.
Robert Trujillo, yeah.
Yeah.
He's played with so many people, man.
Including you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, man, that must have been a trip for that to come around full circle.
Oh yeah, it's so cool because flash forward, it was like I became friends with Robert.
Wow.
He did the Jaco documentary, and he's friends with the family, with John and Julius and Felix, and I got to meet him too, and he's just the nicest guy.
I'm a longtime Suey fan, so he's close to my heart.
Oh, me too. And it's funny because I told him because Jaco was like his hero, and I'm like, that's so crazy because I mean like. He's one of my heroes.
Right.
Robert Trujillo is.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And what was funny was he invited me. He actually let me stay at his place in his beach house in Venice Beach while he was out, like for like a week or two.
Nice.
And he left me his car to go out to jams and stuff and like check it out. But it was funny because the craziest thing was one day when I was hanging out there, Robert's father showed up, and he's super nice guy too. And he came in the house, and we're just watching like a VH1 behind the music on Metallica.
Uh-huh.
And it's like the whole scene when Robert gets the gig, and they offer him the money and all that. And it was like apparently Robert's father had never seen that, so we watched that together.
Oh, that's kind of crazy.
And I'm like, how weird is this? I was like, yeah.
Yeah. I was so pleased with that announcement anyway. If they were going to find a replacement anyway, then I was like, yes.
He deserves it.
Yeah, I was like, couldn't have picked
it's
better.
And his son's killing it. Have you heard his son play?
I have not.
No.
Oh, Ty. Ty, oh man, well he did. He filled in on, who did he play? He played for Korn for a few shows when
Oh,
Fieldy
yeah?
was gone. Yeah, and he's got his own band, and that kid's just like, yeah, keep an eye out on him, man.
All right. Yeah, I'll have to do that for sure.
Yeah,
But yeah, we both always been big Suicidal and big Infectious Grooves fans, and
Oh, yeah. I'd love to get Mike on someday.
Yeah.
that would be cool.
yeah, busy guy.
Yeah.
I have contacted him once, and he was like, well, "Let me get back to you." So I was happy with that. I was like, oh,
Nice.
yeah, Mike Muir said, "Let me get back to you."
Yeah, right. That's funny.
Sometimes that's enough.
Yeah.
So, like you said, we got kind of broke up by internet connection before this, but you grew up in Minnesota, right?
Yeah. Well, no. I was born in Minnesota. I moved down to Florida when I was like 6 months old.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So, yeah, just barely knew.
The only thing I've kept from Minnesota is my family, or my dad's side. He's a Minnesota Vikings fan. So, unfortunately, I'm a Minnesota Vikings fan.
Yeah.
It's been years of misery watching them play.
Yeah, they just canned their cornerback,
Yeah.
Breland. Yeah. Well, he played for the Chiefs, so I was aware of him.
No. That's funny. So, I've gotten smart in the last few years and not really watched.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I've had. Well, I'm a Bears fan and a Cubs fan, so I mean,
Okay.
Coming from Illinois, you know how that goes.
Yeah.
Even though I've spent more of my life in Missouri now than I ever did in Chicago, it's like it's where you're born.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a religion for you. It's like whether you're Protestant or Catholic or anything else in a lot of ways.
Tech
But,
didn't convert you?
To a
To the
Chiefs
Chiefs?
fan?
Yeah.
No, but I'll tell you what. When I went on tour with them, I don't even remember, but I know I was really rooting for the Royals in the World Series,
Oh, yeah.
and I think they lost. I forget who they lost to, but I remember watching the game when they lost with Tech.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, and then I think they went to there was some playoff. Yeah, I forget. I don't pay as much attention to baseball.
Yeah.
But honestly, I don't pay much. I used to pay a lot more attention to the football, but not really much anymore.
Yeah.
I've never really got into to the point where I say we won.
Right. Right. Yeah, I can see that. Mhm.
Yeah.
I can't say anything.
Yeah. Well, I said that to Matt like a couple years ago, and the Chiefs, were winning some game. Well, it was when Mahomes came in. I was like, I kind of like that Mahomes kid.
Yeah.
Like, I can see getting past, being a rabid Bears fan and say, it's okay
Yeah.
if, the Chiefs win every once in a while. I'll watch a Chiefs game. He's like, yeah, and why not Green Bay too? I was like, all right, hold your fucking horses. It's like, calm down.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. If you're a Chicago fan.
Right. Some rivalry will never die, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
but yeah. So then after that, it was that 518 after?
Well, Local 518 is my band. Yeah, we're still doing that. We're gonna be getting in the studio and rehearsing and stuff now.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, we got 2 albums out. We actually have a third. We just gotta finish it. We gotta finish it up. But
Cool.
we've been talking about that for a couple years now.
Oh. Right on. Yeah, I was listening to some of your stuff from there earlier today. It's really good. I was like, man, I hope they cut something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just it's instrumental. It's definitely It's like instrumental metal, punk, funk, jazzy, whatever, reggae, all kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hope to get out there and start playing with that at some point too.
Yeah. And you also had, you've been playing recently with Pat Travers' band.
Oh
right?
yeah.
That's an okay gig. Yeah.
Yeah, that's I've been playing with Pat for about 5 years now.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and Pat's a great gig, man. He's great guy, just a real dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a great player. He's got a good attitude, real laid back.
Yeah.
And I'm stoked because he has a new album coming out, which me and my drummer Alex Petrosky, he's now the drummer for Pat Travers' band also.
Oh, cool.
But he's also the drummer for Local 518 is now in Pat Travers as well. But so we played on Pat's new album, and I'm really happy because one of my songs made the album.
Nice.
Oh, sweet.
It's the final track on the album. I'm really excited about.
Yeah. And he wrote some revolutionary blues rock tracks and
Definitely
great stuff. And
yeah, I can't wait for the new album to come out.
yeah, Carl Palmer as well.
Carl Palmer, yeah, I got to do a tour with Carl Palmer, and it was the Royal Affair tour, and I think it was 2018. Yeah, and that was we went out with Yes in Asia.
Yes, in Asia. Wow.
Wow, that's not intimidating at all.
Yeah, so it was funny. It was funny playing with Carl Palmer and playing old Emerson, Lake and Palmer tunes.
Mm-hmm.
And we had Arthur Brown singing. I don't know if you remember him, The Crazy World of Arthur Brown.
Yeah.
He has Fire.
Fire.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, so he was singing. It was really cool.
Wow.
Really cool.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't know he was still around.
Ooh,
Oh,
Yeah.
no nervousness there, I'm sure.
that would be intimidating. Yeah.
Actually, the most nervous about it was when I got to the first rehearsal. There was a pedal board set up for me, and I've never used effects.
Mm.
So
Oh.
I'm looking at this pedal board, and there's like 5 different effects. So it's like I'm gonna have to learn to tap dance.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it really is. There's an art to pedals, man.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Watch
rough.
Geddy Lee, man.
Dude, I mean, it's nothing. It's not a thing like I'm dissing pedals. I've just never really gotten into them. There's amazing stuff that I think some people over rely on them. But,
Sure.
Yeah.
But for the most part, man, it's really cool. It's just like for the most part, most music I do, I've never really need pedals. But I had to use them with Carl.
Right. You learn. You don't have to have the crutch. Then it's a bonus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and Carl's funny because at one point in the set, I guess it was a Hoedown, the song Hoedown.
Mhm.
I get a bass solo, so he's just like, put this effect on it and this and this and this. I'm like, it don't even sound like a bass anymore.
Right.
It sounds like so. I was like, all right, whatever. It's Carl Palmer.
Yeah.
But yeah, Carl Palmer's a great guy. Good
Wow.
guy.
Have you started playing with pedals any more recently since then?
No, I don't. I have a couple.
Mhm.
There's a couple effects I like. I like that phaser effect, and I like some distortion and maybe a little bit of octave.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's about as far as I go with it right now. It's funny. I wish I wasn't this way, but I'm just very low tech.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to gear. I wish that would be something good if I put more time into learning gear and stuff like that. I've just kind of always been plug in and go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So how did you land on the basses that you play now? I mean, because a couple of them look like some nice pieces, like the Marlows and.
Yeah, Marlowe basses. I was at the NAMM conference and I met those guys, and it's funny. I just noticed. Well, first off, their basses sound amazing, and I noticed that when I was walking around the booths this year, not this year, but when I forget how many years ago it was, probably a while ago. But anyways, I noticed that a lot of these great, Hadrian Farrads and all these, even Victor Wooten and different dudes, when they weren't at their booths, they were always hanging at the Marlowe booth, checking their basses out.
Right.
I'm like, all right. So I just, started talking with the Christian Fabian, who works for Marlowe. He's also a Marlowe bass endorsee. And we started talking. I met with Gerald Marlowe. He's the owner. And we talked, and they ended up hooking me up with a bass. So.
Sweet.
Nice.
Yeah, and I put that, and then now I got a Sandberg bass too, which is my live bass for Pat Travers, and I really dig the Sandberg basses. Those things are incredible.
Yeah. It just come down to how it felt for you and just how to play.
Do you know who Beaver Felton is? He owns Bass Central in Orlando.
No, I'm not familiar.
He gets these Sandberg basses in, and I'm friends with Beaver. And it was a couple months ago. No, more than that. I'm not talking about a while ago. It was maybe a year ago now. But anyways, he sent me a bass he wanted me to check out. And I ended up playing it. It's the one I have now. I really liked it. And they got back to me and they cut me a really, really nice deal
Right.
on this Sandberg bass. So
Sweet.
Excellent.
it's mine now.
Did you have any piece of shit basses you had to struggle through learning on or?
Well, it's funny. I feel like I loved my first bass. My first bass was a PV Fury.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I got for $160, and I don't have it anymore. It's I don't know. Most basses I've always kind of liked, or I wouldn't really spend too much time with them.
Yeah.
But the PV being my first bass, I don't know. Maybe it'd be funny. I wish I could go back and play it now and see what I thought. But it's been so long.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I bet you could find an old PV Fury somewhere, and
Oh yeah, and just check it out.
yeah,
Yeah, probably.
Because I do believe a lot of it is in the hands.
Sure.
A lot of that stuff is in the player.
Sure.
yeah,
You know, obviously there's differences between bass guitars. There's ones that are better than the others, but I think decent players can make anything sound decent. You know.
yeah.
Yeah.
My kid's getting a Jackson JS series,
Oh, nice.
so I don't know if that's going to be good for him or not. We'll find out.
No, it's funny because I remember when I first started playing, like for the first year and a half, I never played through an amp. I just, but I still practice all the time.
Yeah.
'Cause I remember doing the thing where I put like my, if I want to show my sister something, I'd be like, hey, because her room was right next to mine. I'd be like, put your ear to the wall and put the head of the bass stock against the wall and play, and it's like amplifies it.
Wow. Yeah.
Nice.
Doing that whole thing.
Well, yeah, that's what I hear about PV amps too. A lot of people say that, man, they just have great tone. They're cheap though, and the logo is crazy, kind of goofy looking. A lot of them like rip the PV tag off front and put something else on.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that logo looks very old school,
It does.
like 80s metal.
Right.
It does.
Yeah.
I like PV. I don't know. I'm an old DJ, and I like PV because they cost less, but they sound good. They're pretty solid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. Yeah, like it's funny. Like it goes back to like I've played PV amps that I like. I've played all kinds of different amps that I like. You know, usually on the road with Pat, the backline, I'm not too specific about it, but if they can, you can't go wrong with that old amp peg.
Yeah. Oh
The
yeah.
refrigerator cabinet. If I get that, that's like my favorite amp.
At what point in time do you think, as far as playing, that you thought, I think I've broken through. I think I understand this note scale now. I can try to learn just about anything, and I think I can wrap my mind around it. Was there a breakthrough point for you, or is it still kind of?
I feel like I'm still getting there.
Yeah.
I'm still getting there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Which is great. You know.
I think that's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I mean, what is that? I've always told people like, you have moments, you have breakthroughs throughout your playing career. You know what I mean? And it's funny because since this the pandemic thing, I feel like the one good thing that came of it is kind of not playing out as much, is forcing me to actually practice more.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like I actually really went back and started learning. Oh, I'm going to learn my modes. I never really paid attention to that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to learn modes and how to fit them in and why this works over this and what this is, and it's good. But it's funny because when you can already play, you have to kind of take a step back. It feels like when you learn that stuff, because you're just, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you want to get to the point where you're in a way not thinking about it and it becomes natural, but that just takes time.
Yeah.
So it's weird. It feels like this little tunnel you go through where you slow down and you may flub up more when you're trying to fit in new ideas and new things,
Yeah.
but then you break out the other side and you really
Right. You got to slow things down a little
Yeah.
bit. And yeah.
That's what I've always heard too, and I've never really tried to, like, for instance, I've never tried to learn to read music, but I've heard that when you can already play, for people to go back and learn to read, it's really hard, because it's like, I can already play. Why do I need to read this? Why do I need to slow down?
Yeah. Anybody ever spring that on you? Like, here's the sheet music.
Reading?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, it's funny. Well, that's the thing. I did the Jaco big band I played with on a few shows. I played a few shows for them because they put out an album. It was Jaco big band revisited with Peter Graves, and so they did a bunch of Jaco tunes, and they had a bunch of bass players play on it. They called me to do it, and they gave me the song Opus Pocus,
Oh, yeah.
which is really cool. If you get a chance, check that out. It's a really cool song. But anyways, I went to the first rehearsal, and I go in there, and it's this big band, and they got my sheet music. The guys, here's your sheet music, and I'm like, I said, man, that's like reading Chinese to me. I said, I don't sight read. I said, I learned the song though. I said, we can just play the song, and they were cool with it. They were fine, so it would work.
I'm sure they're used to that.
Yeah. But I mean, it's still like, I have the much respect for people that can read like that. I think it's incredible.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
There's people that can tell you how. I just don't get how you do that.
I don't
Something
either.
you've never played before. You just look at it and read it and play it. But I also think that people that do that all the time, it's kind of like, for instance, the bass player on that gig was Jeff Carswell. Great bass player. Good guy. But I remember asking him one time, I was like, hey, what's that lick you play in the one, I forget, it was one of Jaco's tunes, obviously, because that's what we were doing. And what's that lick? What's that lick in that song at this part? And he goes, he's like, I don't know it. I don't have the music in front of me. And I was like, that's the weirdest. I was like, you play it every night.
So it's the opposit.
Huh.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, he's like, and I'm like, to me, I'm like, that kind of bums me out. I'm like, you know what I mean? I'm like, that's weird. I don't know. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess there's a beauty to doing both things, though.
Sure.
Yeah, there's not a right or wrong.
No, absolutely. There is no right or wrong.
There are lots of musicians that haven't been classically trained that are really incredible.
Absolutely.
Nobody would ever begrudge them that they are very talented.
Yeah. And I'm always super envious of like those cats who can, pick up a guitar in any tuning. They're going to know exactly what that note is when they hit it on any string, on any fret.
That's kind of more impressive to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, exactly. And there's definitely great players out there that are like classically trained, and then there's great players that don't know anything.
Yeah.
You know, and I just never liked elitists. You know what I mean? That look down on players like that. I can't get into that.
Yeah, the music snob.
Get into those kind of players. Music snobs. I can't, because really it is completely subjective. Really, there's only two things. Really, it's whether you're in time or whether you're in tune. Other than that, it's kind of a free for all to me.
I remember reading a post from Dave Abruzzese, who's just phenomenal drummer. He's self-taught.
Yeah, he's one of my friends on Facebook.
Oh, yeah. Mine too.
He's great.
He's awesome, yeah. He was self-taught, and I can't remember who it was that came to, like, a performance that he did, but it's like some drumming legend that came up to him after the show and was like, I didn't realize you were classically trained. And he was just like,
That's funny. Yeah. Well, it's like, there's Jeff Berlin gets a lot of flack because he's very opinionated and what I see, and Jeff Berlin's a great player, but I and I agree with some of what he says, but some of it I do get how he comes off a little like, all right, come on, dude.
Yeah.
Like you can bag on, people can bag on different players, but I don't know.
What's the point of doing that?
I would be, who don't care about that? Flea.
Right.
Flea does not care about you bagging on his music career. His bank account definitely doesn't care.
No.
So you tell me who's wrong.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. It's like I worried about that too with even posting like that last episode with Trevor Dunn. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to post this to bungle groups. And as you know, their fans are just like rabid and, can be snooty. And I'm like, I was just like worried about sharing it. I was like, if by the end of that show he said I had a good time, then
that felt good.
Absolutely.
Who gives a shit what you think? Random guy on the internet. So
yeah, you're always going to have the people that dislike it. You know what I mean? And what's funny, honestly, even throwing bass videos up on YouTube and stuff, or not YouTube, but like Facebook, occasionally I'll get like some weird hater out of nowhere, and as soon as that happens, I'm like, this is great, because I always get more views on those videos.
Yeah.
Because people, it's like all of a sudden everyone chimes in and they're checking it out and sending it around, and it's like it's like, I would think, man, I wouldn't be surprised if certain like artists hire people to just talk trash on their posts,
right,
to get to bring attention to it. So, so whatever.
Matt and I have said, especially being around this area, that we really can't wait to get the bump of getting hated by the Westboro Baptist Church.
Yeah, that would be a dream.
And those
I would be thrilled if those fuckers said
yes. Once you get those haters.
Just spell our names right.
Right.
We should go to, like, next time they have a protest, just go out there and wear T-shirts and hand out bumper stickers.
Right.
Do you got those guys around where you live?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm in Kansas City, so, I mean, they're in Topeka.
Yeah, they're from Topeka is where they're from. So, yeah, you hear about all that national press of them showing up to, like, military funerals and everything, but they don't go that far. They're broke, as they should be, but they're mostly around here when they show up, so.
That's sad. That's kind of disgusting to do that shit.
It's really gross.
And regardless of how you feel about a person's thing, you know what I mean? It's just weird.
Right. And they also try to say, well, that's really not our message. We're just trying to be, we're just kind of shocking people into looking at, well, that's not a good way to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Don't show up to somebody.
I'm sure the mother of the person in the casket felt that way.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for making me think. Thank you for making me think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah.
People, I love that somebody bought the house like across from their church and painted it like rainbow.
Yeah, they did. Be careful what you wish for. Yeah. All that national attention.
Yeah.
Well, so what are you working on lately, man? Just still gigging, or are you doing any writing?
Just gigging, man. Yeah, actually, like I said, I felt more like coming through it like what were we just talking about? Like you hit milestones where you feel like you reach new levels.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I've hit a creative spurt, I feel like, so which is really good. So
Yeah. Well, it can certainly go either way in the shutdown.
yeah.
You can either feel isolated and lost, or and use it as a good chance to grow.
Yeah, and the thing is, at least where I'm living here, I live in Florida, so gigs are back, which is great, honestly. So I'm happy to get out and play. So
Yeah.
which is good.
You're still just playing locally mostly, or have you been hitting the road?
I have been. Our last, let me see, my last gig on the road was actually in Minnesota, I think. Yeah, it was Minnesota.
Oh, right on.
Probably about maybe a month ago, and then we had a couple shows with Pat here in Florida. But like last night I had a gig, but that was just local gig, my buddy's band, and that's like doing like classic rock covers at a bar.
Yeah.
But it's cool. I like doing those gigs too.
Yeah. What trips you trigger the most to play, as far as genre?
I don't know. Like I really get a kick out of I could say I've been in a couple bands, like honestly, Pat. I really enjoy playing with Pat. I've been in a band back in the day. There was a band called the Nature Kids I was in, which was like a hip hop band.
Oh.
I really dig a lot of hip hop music too. I love a lot of like heavy music. All kinds of stuff though, man. Like my band, Local 518, that I get a trip. I really dig playing with those guys. So I really hope to start doing more of that soon.
Yeah.
Right on. So do you have kind of a local rivalry going on with bass? I saw just kind of...
Oh, that's funny. That you saw Nathan Thorpe?
I can't remember.
Yeah. Bass Lord.
Yes, that's what it was.
No, he's great. Me and him are buddies, man. He's a cool dude. He actually just moved up to Tennessee. He's in Nashville, I think.
Okay.
But so we know who won that battle. No, I'm kidding. But he did that video of what is it, David Pastorius Exposed or something like that. Yeah,
I haven't seen that.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh, check it out. It's funny, man.
It's funny.
It's funny. But yeah, it was all in good fun. He's a good dude.
I assumed it was tongue in cheek.
Well, me and the drummer Alex Petrosky, we used to play at different times in his father's band. His father was a guy named Steve Thorpe, who's passed away, but he's the real deal, amazing blues guitarist, and who basically I've learned a lot from playing with Steve Thorpe as far as playing a little more for the song, because back when we were younger, me and Alex were both all over the place. We got chops, and it was just bit over everything.
Right.
But when we played with Steve was like this, if we're playing the blues, you better not play more than quarter notes, kind of thing, But he was great. But we both learned a lot from Steve, who is Nathan's father, and Nathan plays bass, and I've grown up with Nathan. But yeah, he just put out this. He started this fake rivalry thing.
That's funny.
There's really not a rivalry, but yeah, we're friends.
He seemed like a pretty talented dude too.
Oh yeah, he's great at the videos. I mean, that legit cracked me up watching it. I was like, this is very pro. He did a good job with it.
Yeah, sounds like Fool Matt a little bit. Anyway.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure. I was like, I think it's a joke. Is it right?
Yeah, that's good. And he's a good player too.
He is.
Yeah, your solo work, and just what you've done you've also come back. Did you also released just some records as yourself, right?
Yeah, I just put out that one album a couple years ago.
So did you just pick out your own session guys for that, or guys that you knew and played with, or?
Alex played drums on most of it.
Mm-hmm.
The drummer for Local 518. And just different people picked out. Al, my guitar player in Local 518, played on some of it. Pat Travers is on the track.
Okay.
Just different local musicians, too.
Right on.
It's good sound stuff, man. What's the best place for anybody to find your stuff, by the way?
Yeah.
I mean, Bandcamp, does that work out best for you?
I think I'm on, what is it, iTunes, but the albums, the whole album's on YouTube also.
Cool.
Got a lot of stuff on YouTube.
Yeah.
So if you type David Pastorius Radio Gold, the album's on there. If you type Local 518, there's music up there.
All right. Yeah, I want to make sure people are plugging stuff in the right spot, too, because, different places pay different people better.
Definitely.
Yeah, I don't know if you've got a lot of experience with Bandcamp or not, but...
No, not too much.
Everybody seems to keep telling us that they're, probably the best deal as far as percentage goes and everything like that. That's if you can steer everybody over there, that whole social media algorithm thing. It's tough.
Yeah.
It is. We're not good at it.
Yeah. We try to be.
Yeah, I'm not good at it either.
And, I keep constantly hearing people. It's like, wow, this is a really good podcast. Never heard of you. It's like, yeah, I know. No problem with that.
That's funny. That's the way it goes.
Got any big plans for the new year? Does that even matter to you, the calendar?
I mean, it's cool. It's another year. But I mean, no big plans now. I don't really, I don't party or drink, so that's about it. Yeah. Other than that, if you don't do that, you're just kind of it's like, getting to the next day.
Yep. And you just keep plugging along.
Yep.
When's your next show? Speaking of getting back to gigging,
I think January 15th with Pat. It's in Florida.
In Florida, yeah.
That's just one date right now.
Okay.
But we got more coming in as the new year gets closer.
So you're going to be touring with Pat more going forward.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
Definitely.
yeah, I'd love to see you get up this way, man, but we understand it's Missouri.
Yeah. No, it would be cool. We've played up that way.
Yeah.
There's a casino we've played there.
Oh yeah, which one?
Well, we played there was a place called Knuckleheads I played in Kansas City with Pat.
Yeah. I like Knuckleheads. That's a cool little place.
Yeah, I played there. And then there's another place in Missouri I played. St. Charles?
Yeah.
It's outside of St. Louis.
Is there St. Charles? Is there a casino out there?
Yes.
Probably. It's on the river. So.
Yeah, exactly. It was on the river.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, the casino gigs those are my favorite gigs, actually, because it's like everything is right there. You stay in the hotel that you're at the venue for the most part. Everything's there.
Oh, yeah.
And then for me, that means I can play the gig and go up to my room.
Yeah. Knowing that loading out into a van and all that.
Exactly. Yeah, man.
Nice. But, they give you free chips or anything like that?
I don't really gamble. No, I don't gamble.
Yeah. I don't that often. Once in a great while. It's hard not to for something to do in Missouri. Yeah. I just lose all the time. I've got shitty luck, so
Yeah.
it doesn't really hook me. If I ever had a winning streak, maybe it'd be a different story.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, my extent is, I think the last time I went was like 3 years ago. Take $20. When the $20 is gone, I'm done.
Yeah.
I did that one time. I had the same thing, $20. Made sure just to bring $20 in, and that was it.
Right.
Yep.
And look how fast that can go.
Yeah, very fast.
That's how you play the nickel slots.
Yeah.
But you can't win on a nickel slot, no.
Yeah.
Yep. Doesn't keep me up nights. I'm not that concerned about it. But yeah, man. Anything else coming up you want to plug or anything? I mean, I don't want to keep you on all night or anything.
I mean, if I'm available for lessons. Anybody, they can just email me at dvpastorius.
Cool.
And or hit me up on Facebook Messenger.
Okay. What's the address again?
My email is dvpastorius@yahoo.com.
Okay.
Facebook Messenger, you can message me on.
Well, they could learn from a lot worse.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, or a lot better, or a lot worse, either way. But I'm also session work, man. If anybody's interested in, I'm available for session work also. So
Cool. Have you heard of the big old nasty get down?
yeah,
John Heinz? Yeah, we had him on the show not too long ago.
Yeah.
he's great. I played on one of his tracks.
Did you?
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. He's had something like 250 musicians or something to play
No
with.
shit.
It was impossible to keep up with his discog.
Yeah. That's our last three guests.
Oh, nice. He's great.
You and him, and then Trevor.
Yeah.
That's a nice group to be in.
Yeah.
That's a great group to be in right there,
Yeah.
man.
Holy Trinity, as far as I'm concerned.
You know who you guys should get it is do you know Cody Wright?
Uh-uh.
I'm not familiar with him.
Cody Wright. I'll send you a link of Cody Wright. He's incredible bass player. Plays with a pick.
Okay.
He's actually one of my favorite bassists out there, man. He's a great dude.
Cool.
If you ever get a chance, maybe you want to interview him too. But I'll send you some links of his stuff to check out.
Sure.
Yeah, if you want to get us Rob Trujillo too, that's awesome.
Tech 9, anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I would definitely. You guys get me a gig with Mike Patton.
Okay. We're working on it, man.
No, not even a gig. Just some session work. Just some session work or a project.
Or a phone call. Yeah, we're working on it, man. Believe me. Chipping away.
Yeah. Hello?
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yep.
Yeah, we're here.
All right.
Maybe that's our cue.
Yeah, it might be.
All right.
Things might be getting sketchy on the old bandwidth.
Okay.
David, man, thanks so much for joining us.
Absolutely.
Good time getting to know you, and can't wait to see you play live.
Yeah.
Looks like a good time.
Definitely, man. Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no problem.
Right on. All right, everybody. You've been listening to Undetermined the Podcast. Special guest, David Pastorius. Have a great night, everybody.
Night.